So I went ahead and watched Black Widow on Disney Plus. Paid my $30 like hell yeah. I've been waiting on this. And I was pretty disappointed. Not that the movie was bad, it was just pretty underwhelming compared to the rest of the MCU films. The plot didn't really feel like a plot. It just felt like a bunch of stuff happening and it wasn't really engaging. And the characters, I've seen better. To start off with this plot, we get a flashback of young Natasha with their sister and their family, and they get separated later. Then fast forward to post-Civil War, Natasha is being pursued by Thunderbolt Ross, and Yelena is in conflict with another Black Widow, and she wins the fight using this red gas. Then the two reunite, and they start fighting for some reason, and then the Taskmaster protocol is released to put a beat down on our girls. And the reunion is interrupted by an attack from the Black Widow spies. Then, in a later scene, we are introduced to the Red Guardian, who is in prison, but gets busted out because he's needed to help the girls find the Red Room. Or is he? They find their foster mother, who has brainwashed pigs at her beck and call, and then their meeting gets interrupted by this random ambush by Black Widow spies once again, and they get captured by Dreykov, and Dreykov is the antagonist of the film. He's this horrible dude who's been kidnapping young girls and turning them into his super spies for his own personal needs. And then he also reveals that the Taskmaster protocol was really their foster mother in disguise and under his mind control spell this entire time. And a Taskmaster uses the Red Guardian as her personal punching bag for a hot minute in the next scene. And while this is happening, Natasha is getting beat up by Dreykov before finally overcoming his control over her. Then Yelena and Natasha finally decide to help the Red Guardian fight Taskmaster temporarily, locking her behind a glass. As the Red Room explodes, Dreykov tries to escape, but Yelena kinda sacrifices herself to blow up his engine, but she doesn't really die. Dreykov does though, and at last we have our final showdown between Black Widow and this quote-unquote Taskmaster, which ends with Black Widow knocking the mask off and breaking the mind control with the red mist. And then the rest of Dreykov's spies are freed. They walk away, and the movie ends. And after the credits, we get a scene revealing Hawkeye, so I guess they were kind of setting up for the Hawkeye Disney Plus show. But that was pretty much the plot. I know I missed a lot, probably got a few things wrong, a lot of things wrong. I've only seen the movie twice, and the plot really wasn't engaging to me. But yeah, that was it. Really not much of a plot, like I said. But on to the characters. Okay, now about the characters, everyone seems really flat and nobody does much of anything. And what I mean by flat is that the characters at the end of the film were pretty much the same since the beginning, and that's pretty boring. But now let's talk about the worst character in this film, the one that a lot of people had a problem with, including myself, and that is Taskmaster. Alright, now this one pissed me off. Okay, this Taskmaster has to be the worst, if not one of the worst, live action comic book adaptations of supervillains that I've ever seen. Like, she's not even comic book accurate at all. But aside from that, she's really not even a character at all. Like, you guys remember Jiren from Dragon Ball Super? How he was more of a plot device than a character? well, they pretty much did the same thing with Taskmaster here, but a lot worse. Like, at least Jiren in Dragon Ball Super had a little half-assed backstory explaining his motives and whatnot, but Taskmaster doesn't even get that. And in the film, she was called the Taskmaster Protocol, so it wasn't even the real Taskmaster at all. And for those who don't know, in the original comic book canon, Taskmaster is a man, and he's actually a deeper character than just a villain. Like, I read one of his solo comics that came out back in 2002, where he was going on undercover missions, and then he found himself a love interest, and he actually kills a lot of guys and fights to protect her. It showed that he was a much deeper character than just a villain. Speaking of villains, yeah, this movie's villains were really flat. Like, Marvel really had a thing going with the villains. With Vulture and Spider-Man Homecoming, you had Killmonger and Black Panther, and everybody's favorite, Thanos. But it just seems that Marvel went back to the square one with these generic and forgettable villains. I don't think anybody's gonna remember Dreykov, but people are gonna remember this horrible Taskmaster that wasn't even Taskmaster at all. And they actually could have set up something a lot better with the character and like kept the good villains going, but Marvel didn't, and it was horrible. Absolute trash and a big disappointment, especially for guys who favor Taskmaster as a villain. And another thing I want to talk about is the Red Guardian and how he was kind of just there. Dude gets used as a comic relief for the most part, and a punching bag for Taskmaster at the end. However, he did make me laugh that one time when he got rapid fire with the tranquilizer darts. Like that one scene where he tanks one tranquilizer dart, then he's talking shit like, this can't stop me, but then the spies rapid fire the tranquilizer darts at him, hit him a bunch of times, then he falls. Yeah, that was like the only part of the movie that made me laugh. But yeah, he was a pretty big waste as well. And also, Marvel could have used him as a way to introduce the superhero team, the Winter Guard, into the MCU. You know, since they really aren't shit in the comics, but they could be made into something big in the movies. But did they do that? No. We could have had Talking Bear in the MCU along with some other cool characters, but whatever. Apparently Marvel has other plans. The fighting was fun to watch, and I enjoyed the shots of Scarlett Johansson's ass, but that was about it. To wrap up this review, I give this film a 6 out of 10. Not bad, but pretty average. Alright, but whatever. Tell me what you guys thought about the film, if you've seen it, and stick around for my other movie reviews. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.